Hello everybody, hope you're doing fantastically well. It is Connor here, and yes, we are back with another One Leeds video. Before the video starts, everybody, do us a favour, make sure you're subscribing to One Leeds, make sure you're hitting the like on every single video, and of course, get your comments in the section below. This is a topic that I've wanted to discuss for a couple of weeks now, and it's a topic which I find really interesting. I really want your guys' feedback on what you think. Do you think that maybe I'm shooting too far away from the barrel here, or do you indeed think that maybe I'm on the money with this one? I want your thoughts in the comments section below. So today we're going to be talking about two specific Leeds United players, but one specific Leeds United player in general. And we're going to go through the intricacies of why he might be heading for an exit at Leeds United. And not an exit permanently, although maybe in the future that's going to be how it's going to play out, but definitely in the short term when it comes to a loan move. And it's a surprising one, of course, but it is going to be Joe Gelhart. Now, the weekend developments for me have really progressed this one in terms of how I feel about Joe Gelhart, how I feel he's going to be utilising this Leeds United setup right at this moment, and where does his future lie? You know, we've seen a lot of him on Academy Dreams. There seems to be a real focus on Joe Gelhardt. He's the prodigy. He's the one Sean McGurk and Greenwood were all speaking about and saying that he's going to be the next. I think one of them quoted Wayne Rooney in the in the Academy Dreams series, which is obviously on Amazon Prime. And there was a real focus, I thought, from the series on Joe Gelhardt, which I thought was, you know, he's the prevalent player at Leeds United. He's definitely the prevalent player in the youth setup. But now, with his age, his experience really in the first team, you know, obviously he's had great moments so far against Wolves. Obviously had one ruled out against Brentford, didn't he? But he's made a real impact in this Leeds United side. However, Jesse Marsh did say on Thursday, or Friday I should say, at the press conference that everybody is fit. He was questioned specifically about Joe Gelhart, said Joe Gelhart was fit. Now, after weekend developments, what we saw was him completely out of the squad. Now, the rhetoric to that will be he picked up a knock. The rhetoric to that will be late fitness issues. But from what we understand, he was fit, but he wasn't picked in the Leeds United squad. Now, what does that say? For me, that is damning. For me, it's fascinating in the press conference on Friday that Jesse wasn't asked about Sonny Perkins, but he brought up Sonny Perkins. We're seeing Matteo Joseph absolutely flying as well in the youth setup. And not only that, but you've now brought in a striker on deadline day who apparently has impressed absolutely everybody. And he was picked ahead of Joe Gelhart and William Yonto for the Leeds United setup. Now, this isn't me just jumping to conclusions, really. This is me trying to be factual about this. And this is me trying to look at Leeds United going forward with Joe Gelhart. And if that makes sense. So, if we are looking at Leeds United with Joe Gelhart, what do we do? Because we all speak consistently about improving the strength of the squad, improving the level of the squad, and I completely agree with that. But as a young 21-year-old, when he's being compared to Wayne Rooney at a young age, when he's being compared to all these other players at a young age, and he's going to be the next breakthrough Leeds United star, apparently, is it good for his development to just keep him on the bench? Will he start many games for Leeds United? I don't think he will. I don't think you're going to see Joe Gelhart start. Now, my argument to that would be, well, wouldn't it be great if Leeds did deploy a 4-2-2-2 system and we saw little and large, we saw Bamford and Gelhart? Well, you're not going to see that consistently for me, for both of them, because of their injury record, and you know that is irrelevant, but in a strange sort of way, it's case in point. But on that sort of remit as well, you're looking at it and you're thinking to yourself, would Jesse ever go with the two up front? I don't think he would. I think the preferential is to have one up top. I think the preferential is to fit Sinisterra, Aronson and Harrison all in that starting 11. So where does that leave Joe Gelhart? Well, obviously it leaves him on the bench. Now, is that satisfactory for a young talent who's playing at the England level? He's trying to get minutes. His profile's high from last season when it comes to minutes, minutes per goal ratio. And as I've said multiple times, he's a breakthrough talent. Now, for me, it would make sense for Leeds United to maybe utilise a January loan. Now, I saw Adam Pope talking about this, and I would probably, Adam didn't go out there on a limb and say, you know, that's what he would want, and it's not really what I would want. But when I'm looking at one of Leeds' young players and what the next step is for them, I think a January loan would be good for Joe Gelhart. Now, I know there's going to be loads of you screaming, saying, Connor, that's depth. Connor, that's this, that's that, the other. That's what we need on the bench. I would agree. And maybe if we're looking at a 26, 27-year-old who's fighting for his shirt at Leeds United, it would be very, very different. But it's the fact that it's a young lad. He'll want minutes. And he's probably looking at his time at Leeds right now and thinking, what is next? Now, Leeds showed a lot of trust in Joe Gelhart. We've given him a new contract, which has been fantastic. But as I've said to you guys, I've spoken about the 4-2-2 formation and him maybe partnering alongside Bamford, which is what I've wanted to see for a while. I don't think we'll see that, as I've said, because of injuries. But at the same point, when we're looking at the same point, even if we are playing a 4-2-3-1 and Bamford's up there and he's injured, we've still seen when Joe Gelhart is fully fit, ready to play. Doesn't matter if it's been Marcelo Bielsa. Doesn't matter if it's been Jesse Marsh. They will pick Dan James ahead of him, and they will pick Rodrigo ahead of him to start. And I don't know whether or not that's because with Dan James and Rodrigo, you're getting players at least running off the last man. I would presume that that is what it boils down to. Maybe the physicality aspect, although Dan James wasn't a physically gifted player, but I guess he's got more experience in that role than someone like Joe Gelhart. But you never replace the profile of Patrick Bamford. And it's really, really simple when it comes to why Patrick Bamford works in this system. Leeds are direct when it comes to this 4-2-2, 4-2-3-1 formation. We're narrow, we're compact, and we need the centre forward to compete and not be bullied by the defender. Now, when Joe Gelhart is dropping deep to receive the ball, almost in a central attacking midfield role and link up with the players in and around our sort of three offensive players that are behind the striker, that's not a striker that's working off the last man. And Joe Gelhart isn't that striker anyway. He wants the ball to feet, he wants to drop deep and be able to influence the game from there. That's obviously much harder in the Premier League than it is obviously the youth setup. And as well, it's so congested in there with how Leeds United play that I don't know if it's if it will benefit the system long term. So a lot to consider there. And another name that I'm going to throw in there is someone like Sam Greenwood. And once again, a lot of people will come back and say, but Connor, it's depth. And I would say that back to that when it comes to a rebuttal, but he wants minutes. He'll want minutes. And I reckon if you offered Sam Greenwood a championship move and said, look, you're going to be playing 90 minutes week in, week out, as Leeds did with someone like Cody Drame, as Leeds have done with Charlie Cresswell, I think that is something that Sam Greenwood would prefer. And I think there's going to be movement there, potentially, in January as well. And you also look at players that are up and coming, and I've mentioned it. You've now got Perkins, who's competing with Joe Gelhart, and he's younger. You've got Matteo Joseph, who's been fantastic as well, who's going under the radar a little bit. You've got Willie Nonso, so all those three are competing with Joe Gelhart. And Gelhart's obviously a little bit older. You've got Greenwood, who now will be competing against someone like Darko JB, who is looking absolutely fantastic at the minute. These players do need minutes. And I almost feel like the younger players aren't banking on minutes that much in terms of wanting to start the whole 90 minutes. They just want to get on the pitch. When you look at someone like Darko JB, when you look at someone like Sonny Perkins and Matteo Joseph, and you'd probably even throw Willie Nyonto in there. They just want to come on and influence the game. Whereas Joe Gelhart and Sam Greenwood are a little bit further in their development now. They will want to be starting in games of football. And there's a danger of them being overtaken for me. So really interesting to hear what you guys think on this one. But I think we're going to potentially see some movement in January with Sam Greenwood and Joe Gelhart. As I said, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. As I keep saying, it's an interesting one, this one. An interesting one. I know it's going to divide opinion. I know some people are just going to be like, no chance, or whatever. And that's completely fine. But let me know in the comment section below. I'm fascinated to hear what you guys think. Have a good day, and I'll see you in a bit.